Fast forward in Komo Ewachoni, so how I gauge politics avenue. Podcast story training milk is big headlines need to be Akroma, need ma yamun rain simu. Yakwen Sima, a Chief Justice Ameno Kase ye in Twasia Kunya, say ene onye Chief Justice Eogan has he ibium. Sofia Akuffo itimi edina no etum na o kan bi say kwanya omampanyin fa so maame no enye ne kwanso na we see in a deputy attorney general enso ababonten ababi maame na no na mestre say yemunram ne yenhwe ne yekọ ene de ba abra maame no deputy attorney general ajemre na oboye nchiremu
judges and 3 other persons with the former auditor general. I would defer to their conclusion as against their appreciation of the standard as against the former Chief Justice.
In a related development, the Community Court of Justice of ECOWAS is set to deliver a ruling on the case brought before it by the immediate past Chief Justice Torkonoo, seeking a suspension of the proceedings to remove her from office and her reinstatement with full entitlement. The former Chief Justice was subsequently dismissed by the President after recommendations from a committee of inquiry which investigated petitions asking for her removal. Lord Edwasare reports.
During the hearing, the Attorney General representing the state challenged the suits brought by Justice Torkonoo, citing lack of jurisdiction by the ECOWAS Court. The Attorney General averred that the ECOWAS Court proceeding to hear the case by the Chief Justice would result in forum shopping, which could in turn lead to conflicting decisions since the matter was already before Ghanaian courts, including the Supreme Court. But lawyers of the Chief Justice maintain that the case constituted clear human rights violations and not constitutional interpretations. They further prayed for $10 million in compensation for damage to her reputation following her suspension by President Mahama. The ECOWAS Court then adjourned the case to deliver the ruling on the matter. Meanwhile, lawyers of Justice Torkonoo have filed another application at the ECOWAS Court, urging the Community of Justice Court for an order granting the reliefs contained in her originating application. She is also praying the court to deliver its judgment in her favor, noting that the Attorney General has defaulted in filing a defense to her suit. Per the rules of court, a party to a case is required to file a response within 30 days. Failure to do so means forfeiture of the right to file a defense. Lord Edwasare, TV3 News, Accra.
Meanwhile, Deputy Attorney General Justice Ǔnfǎir has been explaining why Ghana is yet to file a response to the CJ's case at the ECOWAS Court.
Dawn, we woke up to another process which was served on us from the court, that the former Chief Justice is seeking judgment in default of defense. In other words, that we've not defended the substantive suit. We had 30 days to do so, and that we have not filed our defense. But our preliminary thought is that if we are objecting to the jurisdiction of the court, and the court has taken argument and has adjourned to give a ruling one way or the other, we do not exactly think that we have to file on the substantive issue, because the question before the court is whether the court has jurisdiction. The court has to clear that aspect first, and when it says that it has jurisdiction to assume, then they will order us to file our defense. And indeed, if the court was interested in getting the court could have ordered that we should file our defense together with our preliminary objection, because we were heard. It's not as if we argued that matter in court, in the ECOWAS court, and we were heard. And the court in adjourning didn't give any further direction. They told us that they are rising, and then they have adjourned the case, indefinitely. And when they come back, they will give us further directions. So we were waiting for the court to give us further direction, only to be served with a notice for default of defense. So that is where we are at the moment.
So what are the next steps? You'll be applying for that to be thrown out as well?
Yeah, we would have to file to oppose the application for default judgment.
Now, the former Chief Justice Akuffo is calling for a complete overhaul of the removal process for Superior Court judges. She believes that the current process is unfit for purpose, creating a situation where future Chief Justices will easily be removed from office.
The former Chief Justice's reaction to the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Saki Torkonoo, Akuffo maintains the entire removal process was unnecessary.
I'm very sad about it. It has really saddened me. And maybe in a way, I feel very distressed by it.
She fears other Chief Justices will be subjected to similar removal process unless key changes are made to the current procedure.
It's about the whole process. My sadness is because as far as I'm concerned, it was a very unnecessary. We have been taken through a very unnecessary situation, and which, as far as I'm concerned, and that is my honest and candid view, this has so weakened the institution of the judiciary. It's not so much the individual who occupies the position, it is the institution. That is what I'm concerned about.
Akuffo has a message for the former Chief Justice Gertrude Saki Torkonoo.
The removal of persons from their positions, however high, however low, ought to be crafted with more precision and have greater detail. Because if in your constitution you're going to go to the extent of setting out grounds, setting out procedure, and saying that this is the only procedure that is to be used, then it needs to be more solidly grounded. It needs to say more.
In more news tonight, the opposition NPP has petitioned the Inspector General of Police demanding the arrest and prosecution of NDC Vice Chairman Awudu Azoka and another party member for various acts that occurred during the Akwatia by-election. Mr. Azoka, the party alleges, threatened there will be a by-election in the constituency of Minority Leader Alexander Apenyo-Markin. They also allege he physically assaulted NPP Vice Chairman Alhaji Osman Masawudu. They want him arrested and prosecuted.
It was a big talking point yesterday. What happened in Akwatia? Now, political scientist Dr. Ali Nyaba says the outcome of the recent Akwatia by-election has set a precedent that could influence the results of upcoming by-elections, potentially shifting in favor of the NDC. He cautions political parties against complacency, urging them to take decisive action or risk setbacks that may be difficult to recover from.
The fiercely contested Akwatia by-election held on Tuesday, September 2nd, saw NDC candidate Bernard Baidu emerge victorious, defeating NPP Solomon Asumedu. Political scientist Dr. Ali Nyaba says the NPP's loss, though painful, was expected due to the party's lack of reorganization after the 2024 general elections.
It made the dynamics quite predictable before the elections that it was always going to be very difficult for the NPP to retain the seat, especially if you look at the margin that the NPP candidates won with in the 2024 elections. The NPP too, I think it is a difficult moment for them to start serious reorganization until after the selection of the flag bearer into the next elections. Because of that, the internal politics is not allowing them to focus as a unit.
He cautions political parties against complacency, urging them to reflect, restructure and reconnect with voters.
The NDC, since the 2024 general elections, have shown that they are making maybe unintentional inroads into NPP strongholds in the Ashanti and then the Eastern region. The complacency that made the NDC to make these inroads should not set into the NDC itself. Political parties must be wary of complacency, and complacency in terms of doing the right things for the people who voted you into power. You should never take those people for granted. Whatever you are supposed to do as a representative of the people, you must take that very seriously, stick to it, and remember that just one moment of complacency can drag you back several miles, and it takes another several miles for you to make up for what you might have lost.
He adds that over the past 6 to 8 months, many Ghanaians appear generally satisfied with the current government's performance.
And Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Mustapha Bande, has criticized the minority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, for allegedly destroying posters at the NDC's office in Akwatia. He says the call by the New Patriotic Party to arrest the NDC's first vice chairman is flawed. In an interview with Christian Yale, he described the outcome of the Akwatia by-election an honor to the late Dr. Omani Bawumia.
It was a very peaceful election, one that we must commend ourselves of, particularly the fact that we had no disturbing incidents of violence and all sort of view. We wanted to work as a team to win this election in honor of our brother Dr. Akuffo and 8 others, but him in particular because his desire have been that we win this seat as part of his round 2 of activating the body cams. But to the people of Akwatia, it means jobs for them. It means hopes for them. It means that they are going to be expecting that we'll give them jobs and then we're able to do what the MPP couldn't do for them. Yesterday's election would have been with no single incident, but for Afenyo-Markin, he must grow up and demonstrate leadership. Because when you are fortunate to have gotten to where he is, you can't come down the ladder. To even master the courage to enter into a political party's office to tear posters, Chief, it's dangerous enough.
In the face of the alleged threats against Afenyo-Markin and other MPP leaders, they have issued a statement, the party has issued a statement today demanding that your first vice chairman, Fúrioǔsľy Zoka, be arrested. Is that a call in the right direction?
That is, that will be left for the police to decide. Yes, a call can be made, but they should be prepared for the law to work harmoniously with individuals that are involved, so that we are not seen to be punishing one side and leaving the other. No, it's not going to happen. If they are calling for this, they should be ready to attend the Afenyo-Markin's end. And then we can proceed from there. Violent behaviors, condemnable violent behaviors.
Are you able to cite examples of some of
I just told you, how can you slap a police officer and still be walking? If I slapped a police officer, do you know what will happen to me?
Now, there are calls for politicians to be held accountable for comments and promises they make. This is in reaction to comments by the New Job in South Member of Parliament, Michael Ochribefi, who has beat a retreat on his earlier pledge to resign if the New Patriotic Party loses the Akwatia seat. Evelyn Tengma has more in the following report.
In the heat of campaign in Akwatia for the September 2 by-election, MP for New Job in South, Michael Ochribefi, made a statement which is now haunting him.
Confidently, I'm telling you, mark my words, I can even tell you that if we lose this election, I'll resign as a member of parliament. I'm telling you, we'll win this election.
Many may not have paid much attention to his comment, but right after the NPP's defeat in the by-election on Tuesday, his comment sparked heated debate about accountability and trust in public life. Michael Ochiri-Befi has since apologized for his statement, adding he went too far. But Ghanaians will not take any of that. On social media and on the streets, they want him to resign, questioning the sincerity of politicians. Some also argued that the Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, while in opposition, made comments that he will resign if the president of a future NDC government that he is part of uses a private jet. He has since slammed his critics, who asked him to resign because the president was alleged to have used a chartered flight to Japan. NDC's Deputy National Director of Elections and IT, Rashid Tanko Computer, said Befi's apology is insufficient.
If he doesn't, I will write to the Speaker of Parliament. And he must apologize in the floor of Parliament so that the whole public will see who he is, so that they know that certain activities of people like that should not be countenanced by Ghanaians. They must allow decency in our politicking so that Ghanaians will respect us.
Governance expert Professor David Abdullahi said Ochiri-Befi should not have made those comments in the first place and insists he resigns, raising credibility and integrity issues.
It speaks to his integrity and credibility. He should resign. And the other thing is, it also speaks to his values. What does he really stand for? If you are a leader and you speak in such a way, then people should be able to take you based upon your word. So what he has done, actually, he has brought a lot of shame to his constituents. I think it's high time that the parliament actually come up with standing orders against these kind of things, because it put the whole parliament into disrepute.
He said going forward, politicians should be held responsible for their comments.
People should vote those politicians who promise and don't deliver. They should vote them out. And I can tell you, Ghanaians are getting to that stage now. They'll vote you out at the polls. Then they should name and shame those kind of people.
Many politicians continue to make such comments and unfulfilled promises and get away with it. And the Befi situation has raised questions again. So as the clock ticks, would Befi reconsider resigning or rather apologizes on the floor of Parliament? One can only wait and see how it unfolds. Evelyn Tinkma, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's now go to the Savannah region, where displaced women and children who fled the Bole-Sola conflict to La Côte d'Ivoire are facing harrowing conditions of reported cases of sexual abuse, hunger, and lack of basic necessities. Victims say they were forced to sleep with men from host communities in exchange for safety, while children are showing visible signs of trauma as food and clean water run dangerously low.
The IGP's Special Operations Team deployed to Bole to enforce peace, law and order in surrounding communities, accompanied some chiefs on a fact-finding mission to the feuding communities as part of ongoing mediation processes. A contingent of 40 officers led by ASP Alhaji Bawa Abdul Jalil advanced their activities to La Côte d'Ivoire to engage with displaced Ghanaians who had fled their indigenous communities due to the lingering conflict situation there. The personnel received briefing before their departure to the field.
When the situation is becoming calm, you as police officers, it is incumbent on you to also play the role of mediation in order for us to have peace, safety and security within the area in which you are operating.
What we are in now, we are not supposed to be biased. So I expect you to be very professional in your dealing.
In Bale, a Briford-dominated settlement, most homes had been abandoned. At the Chache border, the IGP Special Operation Team, assisted by customs and immigration officials, facilitated their entry into Bonkro, the host community in Ivory Coast, after an Ivorian security chief, Gachet Toussaint, granted them access. The team engaged the traditional rulers, community members and refugees in a town hall meeting fashion.
Having the information that they have moved to this area, the IGP has tasked us to come to this area to see how our people are faring and also to see how best we can also communicate with the chief and also thank them for keeping our people who are currently under their custody.
Chief of Bonkro, Zinayao, pledged continued protection for the refugees, but appealed for peace in Ghana to allow the refugees to return to their boats. Ivorian Security Chief Gashit Hussein emphasized the urgency, urging Ghanaian authorities to intensify peace mediation efforts before the crisis worsens. The team then proceeded to address the refugees.
Good afternoon to you all. It is not easy going through all the areas that you have abandoned your homes and this is where you are living. It's a clear indication that it's an unfortunate incident. But we are assuring you as police officers from Ghana, especially from the National Headquarters Special Operation Unit, that for the past 3-4 days, our presence within your area has indicated that peace is coming back. Everything is coming back to normalcy, and we are assuring you that with our effort and the effort of our Inspector General of Police and the National Security, together with the government, everything is going to be normal so that you can come back and live your normal life.
Some of the refugees say they still live in fear.
The people that they are killing, whenever they will mention the person's name that they want the person, definitely they will kill that person. It's like when they go to your house or the village, the people that they want and they are not there, there is a sign that they will make in the house for them to know that they will come back for them. So we are begging that the security should do well and assist us. If not, the fear and the panic is there. Because, and there is some particular names that they've mentioned now, even if the dialogue is, they are able to solve it and they go back, still they have the fear that they may one day kill them because their names are with them and they want them to kill them. So we are begging that they should do well so that the security should be tight in the community.
The delegation inspected the proposed new camp for the displaced Ghanaians. At the current site, a public school is no longer viable, with schools set to reopen. Further assessment revealed alarming humanitarian concerns, theft and sexual abuse perpetrated against several women. The lack of food and clean water have also compounded the plight of the refugees, prompting an urgent need for food supplies and immediate healthcare needs. Meanwhile, the deployment of the Special Operations Team has significantly boosted peace and public confidence in Bole, while the curfew remains in force. The team has pledged to continue working with the traditional leaders, security agencies and Ivorian counterparts to secure lasting peace and ensure the safe repatriation of displaced victims. Stanley Nibleu, TV3 News.
Now, the leadership of the Ghana Registered Nurses and
we and Sema who the team course watching and so on was so Jemre Award as Senator Badi, Eddie Adumbi, Adomian, Yabasashim, Yasumu Consumo Sukra, GH politics happening.